This is the Your Career Story podcast, and you're listening to episode 51, 5 Success Secrets of 100K plus earning career women. Welcome to Your Career Story podcast, a show that's designed for rockstar professionals looking for that extra booster shot of confidence in their careers. Whether you're trying to get clarity on a job transition, want some work-life balance inspiration, or need a strategy to snag that promotion or raise, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Jenna Viviano, ex-Wall Streeter turned startup junkie who now coaches hundreds of clients, empowering them to take back control of the job search and land their dream job. So sit back, grab a glass of wine, and prepare yourself for your weekly boost of career confidence. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode. I am so honored to be in your earbuds today or on your way to work, whether it's via subway or you are driving somewhere. I'm just honored to be a part of your daily routine or weekly routine with the Your Career Story podcast. So today we're going to be jumping into success secrets, which I love this topic around success. I love getting to know what other people's routines are, their creative habits, and just trying to adopt some of those principles myself and really finding this kind of peacefulness, if you will, around success. Because I think success can really come in like a clamoring and a working hard. And there is obviously some merit to that. And there is there's parts of success that really you are required to work hard doing that. But what I was able to do was gather some success secrets of women that are in my Recruit the Employer program. So I actually farmed them and I asked them, hey, can you give me some pieces of advice for my podcast? You are all six-figure women that are in my program, Recruit the Employer program. What are some things that you have seen over the years being a mid to senior level person around, what it looks like to be a successful career woman? So they have gifted us with some of their own secrets, and you're going to find a theme actually throughout them. I did not change them. I did not alter them. I'm giving you what they have given me, and I hope you can relate to those things. And then I'm also adding a fifth of my own that I feel like has been really monumental in the way that I look at being successful in my career, also being a six-figure earner, and how my own success secret has impacted my life for the better. And so before I hop into that though, I just want to tell you a little bit about my weekend. So I don't do this very often, but I had such an amazing time of rest that I just feel like I need to share it with you. So my fiance, Brent, was out of town this weekend. He was at a men's retreat with the church-related function, and it was really wonderful for him. He had an amazing time with his male friends and learned a lot and spent a lot of good time with the Lord. And so I got to spend a lot of time with myself, which, as being somebody who is no longer single, that is a real gift for me. I spent a lot of my time in my 20s having a lot of alone time to think about things, brainstorm about things, process through things. And I feel like obviously when you have other people that are in your life, and you know this if you're married or if you have children, that time kind of gets gobbled up. And so it was a real gift this weekend. I spent a lot of time just resting. I actually had full intentions of recording this podcast this weekend while he was gone. And you know what? I woke up on Saturday morning and I was just like, no, that is not what's happening today. I really need to truly understand what it means to slow down because I can't comprehend that. And maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you're always feeling like you're hurried or you have to move on to the next thing. And I just realized that would become such a narrative of my life that I really wanted to set into and unpack this lie that I believe that I had to be productive in order to be worthy or valuable. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if I'm not resting, I'm believing something about rest that's probably not true. And I'm believing something about work that is not true. And so I spent the weekend and I got up late. I made myself a luxurious breakfast. I decided instead of going to a yoga class that it was beautiful here in Nashville, and I went for a hike outside, power walked it, really enjoyed nature, did not listen to a podcast or any music, which was a huge thing for me. I'm usually the queen of let me educate myself while I am working out and let me do all the multitasking, right? I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Maybe you're listening to this podcast right now and you're commuting, or you are on the treadmill, or you are maybe having it in the background while you're cooking your dinner. Whatever it is for you, you can probably relate. But I just felt this weekend that I needed to sit into some of the things that I've been trying to process since the beginning of the year. And I don't talk a lot about present personal things that are going on. And it's been a really interesting start to the year. Hard's probably not the right word, but it's been a growing season for me in my business and kind of when I'm thinking about work and thinking about family and thinking about life. And it's been hard to process through. And I haven't felt like I've gotten a lot of clarity around things until this weekend. And I really believe it's because of the silence. It's because of the space that I was able to give myself to really dedicate to me and my time. And for me, I am a woman of faith. And so some time with Jesus. So whatever that looks like for you, but for me, it was really some time with Jesus to process through some of these lies that I was believing about work and rest. So I went for this beautiful walk. I took myself out to lunch, and then I went to Barnes & Noble, which is one of my favorite pastimes to do, just to browse. And I literally let myself pick up all the books. I picked up The Artist Way, which I highly recommend if you are a creative or consider yourself a creative or want to be, if you're confused as to whether you are a creative or not. Actually, it's a really, really great tool. And I've heard a lot of people talk about it before. And I actually got the curriculum for it. So I got that, started working on that this weekend. I got this new book called The Elimination of Hurry. I think that's what it's called. I'm losing it. It's on my couch, but it's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it's really around this idea of rest and why do we feel like we're in a hurry to do all the things? And technology, it has become this huge part of our lives. It's supposed to free us up of more time. We've just filled that time with more things using technology. So I'm sure you can relate to that. That's an excellent book. And then I also got another book. I forget what it was. Oh, it was a Gretchen Rubin book, one of her newer books around happiness and productivity. So I had all the fun books and I started watching documentaries. Anyways, I just had a really restful, joyful, full weekend. And then Brent came home and I was able to be present with him and present with our friends that we hung out with later. It was just an amazing, amazing weekend. So the reason why I tell you all of that is because I felt like for me, I had not given myself permission to take the time to process through some of the stuff that I knew was holding me back. And I feel like I'm renewed today on a Monday, fully had slept, had moved my body, had eaten really well, had really nourished my mind in a way that wasn't stuff it with all the funnel and online marketing tactics to make sure my business works. It was more of a effortless education. So I would love to give you the permission to do that this week. If you feel like this year has started off and it's just been hard and you feel stuck and you feel confused, give yourself an hour. Let's say you have kids and maybe you don't have the whole weekend like I do, but maybe it's just an hour where you're hey, honey, take the kids. I'm going to go to Starbucks and I'm just going to journal through this stuff, because the reality is we need to spend some time with ourselves in order to process through the things that we're working through. And that is relevant for work and at home. And I think they're much more correlated, which we could talk about in a different episode. But anyways, I just wanted to give you some permission that if you're feeling like you've been stuck, you probably need some silence. You probably need some space where you are not listening to a podcast. So you can turn me off. I'm giving you permission to do that. Where you maybe don't need to be listening to Justin Bieber's new album like I have been on repeat, right? You're just giving yourself some freedom to just be in the quiet and not have anything around you for an hour. See how that feels. Turn your phone off. Please turn your phone off. Turn your internet down. Shut down the Wi-Fi. Whatever you need to do to preserve that time, I can guarantee you're going to come to the end of that time and you're going to uncover something. You're going to uncover something that's going to get you from stuck to unstuck. So I just wanted to give that little bit of a sermon today because I just felt it so deeply. I was so excited about having that rest, and I feel renewed this week, and I feel excited, and I'm so hopeful for what's to come. And the beginning of the year didn't feel that way necessarily when it came to work and life and how I was going to mesh the two of those things together. So I just want to encourage you. I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about all of you that are listening. So thank you so much for showing up and listening to this podcast. Let us jump into all of these success secrets. So again, these are ones that have been given to me by women that are in my Recruit the Employer program. And when you're done with listening to this, you can take some notes on this, or I would love if you connected with me on LinkedIn and tell me which one of these success secrets most impacted you. Maybe it's something that you've done already, or maybe it's something that you're going to start to try to do. And then also, I want you to hear the theme in a lot of these things. They're very, very similar. And I don't know if it's because we're women and we have a similar makeup in how we approach situations, but there is a definite theme that I'm going to share with you at the end of this of what I heard from all of these success secrets. Again, I did not change them. I did not alter them from these women. So the way I'm going to format this is I'm going to tell you what the success secret is. I'm going to explain it, how the phrasing that they gave me, and then I'm going to give some context. And then I'm also going to give you some action items, something you can actually walk away and do, because for me, I do not like just to pump you up and leave you there. I want you to do something afterwards, because the action is not going to, if you don't do any action, it's just going to be inspiration. And I'm not here to be your inspirational guru. You've got Oprah for that. right? And I love Oprah, so there's no knocking on Oprah. So the first success secret, I'm going to walk through all 5 of them, and then I'm going to go back to them. So the first one is develop real relationships. The second one is work and lead from a place of service. The third one is take charge and be observant. The fourth one is learn everyone's job. And the fifth one is invest in yourself. Okay. So these are the success secrets of 100K plus earning women, the women that are in my program, and myself contributed to this list. So the first one is develop real relationships. And one of the women in my group said this. She said, get to know your coworkers and people in the company, understand their role, their responsibilities, get to know them personally, and make them feel involved or aware of the work that you do. Sometimes instead of calling or sending an email, stop by their desk and have a quick chat. I found that building relationships has really helped colleagues think of me as their partner and get me placed on awesome projects. So this is I love that. I love that context. This is a woman who had an entrepreneurial background. She also works for a consulting firm. She is like top dog. She's super impressive. And what I loved about this is she brought it down to the personal aspect. We often think of work as very transactional, and some parts of work are. But my personal opinion from being an outsider looking in on a lot of people's careers, 800 plus for the record, is that really work is relational. The biggest issues at work come from relationships. They're not really from skill sets. And so when you look at it from that perspective, obviously people that are more successful and ultimately that rise up through the ranks, it's the soft skills that matter less than the hard skills. Because the soft skills are what makes a person a really good leader that brings people alongside with them. And this woman understands that. She understands that to be a really great leader, to be successful at work, you have to develop real relationships. You can't be a faker. You have to be a whole person, show up to work, and really care about the people that you're working with. Because once you care about the people that you're working with, ultimately that's going to benefit you as well. One of the number one things that I recommend for people to do when they get a new job is to set up as many coffee dates as you can with people in the office. And the reason why I tell people to do that is because you want to get to know everybody in the office that you can. One, you just want them to know who you are, to see if you can help them and they can help you, to really show up to serve, but also so that you have an idea of who all the players are in the office. I'm an extrovert, so maybe that's a little bit easier for me. For my introverted people, maybe I think it works for introverts as well. And I've talked to some of my introverted clients about this because it's a one-on-one conversation. It's not like a big room where you're, having to work the room or anything like that, which I don't even enjoy it. I'm an extrovert. It's really about having those one-on-one conversations, getting to know people, treating them like humans, and not hiding behind your screen. Notice what she said. Sometimes instead of calling or sending an email, stop by their desk and have a quick chat. I found that building relationships has really helped colleagues think of me as their partner and get me placed on awesome projects. So whenever you are building relationships with people, you're ultimately building trust. And when you build trust with people, that's the foundation of what makes a highly functional team, is trust. It's also, if you don't have trust, it's the foundation of making a really dysfunctional team. There's actually a book all about that. I think the author's name is Peter Lencioni. We read it when I was working at the Muse on our sales team. But I really am a firm believer that for you, if you look at yourself as somebody who wants to be successful in your career, notice it's not about the hard skill, but it's really about the soft skill and coming to work as a whole person and serving people that is ultimately going to help you move ahead. I think the other thing to think about is when I had coworkers, which I still have coworkers now, people that kind of work for me, I usually say when I'm introducing someone, they work alongside me because it's kind of weird having someone work for you. But when I was in more of the corporate environment, when I worked at the Muse and the New York Stock Exchange, and when I was in investment banking, I really tried to, especially when I worked at the New York Stock Exchange, to get to know people in other departments. It helped me get thought of to be involved in projects, kind of like what she said. If you want to move up through the ranks, you want to be seen as the person to put on the job and to get more responsibility. I think a lot of women specifically, maybe you're not raising your hands. And part of it is maybe you're scared to build those real relationships. And so building those real relationships is such an amazing way to be successful in your career. So here's an action item for you for this first one, developing real relationships. I would send a coworker a Slack today, or like an instant messenger, whatever messaging system you have, an email, whatever, to thank them for the work that they've been doing. I would think of somebody that's in your office, because here's the deal. Encouragement is one of the things that I feel like is lacking most in the office. And we're really about putting out fires more than we're about lifting each other up. So I think if you're the person in the office that is lifting people up alongside of doing the work and putting out the fires, you're going to be perceived, again, as more trustworthy, as somebody that you want to have on your team, as somebody who can get stuff done. So don't think because you're being fluffy, right? You're encouraging people that's a bad thing. That's actually a really great thing. And that's what leaders are made of. So I want you to thank someone for the work that they're doing. Write them a thank you note. It doesn't even have to be, it can be handwritten even. And ask them to grab some coffee or walk around the block, whatever you feel comfortable with or whatever your thing is. I would just set up some time to spend quality time with people, right? You can't build friendships or work friendships if you don't spend time with people and get to know them as whole people. I'm a huge fan of this. I firmly believe that you want to get to know that what's going on with them personally as much as professionally, because it's going to mesh into two. So even for myself, nowadays, I had an old boss who I still keep in contact with. And I always ask him how his kids are doing. And it's not that I know the inner workings of all their little details or all the things that are going wrong, but I know what his kids are involved in because I know that's important to him. And so I would recommend for you is to get to know at least one fact about that person. What are their hobbies outside of work? Like, what's their family like? Like, are they really involved with certain activities or interests or maybe initiatives? Just get to know them as whole people. It sounds so simple, but a lot of us don't take the time to do it. I want you to take the time this week to do it. All right, moving on to number 2, work and lead from a place of service. So number 2, the second success secret from the Women in the Recruit the Employer program is work and lead from a place of service. And one of my members said, serve your boss by taking things off their plate. I would also add to serve your employees. So take off and serve. When I work hard to make my team strong and successful, and I put them first, I also succeed. So this is really the idea around servant leadership. So this woman she is top at her company. She's a head of, I'm not going to tell you exactly what department she is, but she's a head of, let's just say that, head of in her department. And she has really learned over the years how to serve the people that are ahead of her and understand how to make their life easier. So if you've heard me talk in the podcast before, there's usually 3 buckets in which you're going to provide value for an organization or for a hiring manager. You're either going to save a company money, make a company money, or make someone's life easier. So what she's touching on here is serve your boss, serve, the keyword serve, by taking things off their plate. You're making their life easier. And when you make someone's life easier, they love you more. Like I love Sarah, my marketing manager, because she takes things off my plate and I feel like I'm getting so much more done and I can have less stress in my own mind. She's making my life easier. And the other thing that she says here that's really interesting is I would also add to serve your employees. So this is especially true if you're a manager. And I had probably gone on this rant before, but I feel like there's often a breakdown in middle management where if you have been promoted up, you've been a great individual contributor and you've been promoted up and maybe you've experienced a manager like this who maybe didn't get the skill set that they needed to manage a team, because it is a very different skill set than the individual contributor role. So like, for instance, a perfect example would be in a sales team. So if you're a really great salesperson, doesn't mean you're going to be a great sales manager. Just doesn't. So for yourself, if you're a manager and if you've been placed into a management role, I was about to say mentorship, you really need to be thinking about how are you going to serve your employees? Because it's really not about you. When you make it not about you, that's where you are going to be successful. And that's what she says here. When I work hard to make my team strong and successful and I put them first, I also succeed. So it's trying to figure out ways to make your team more successful. How do you get rid of bottlenecks? How do you create systems that make their lives easier? How do you make sure that they feel encouraged and engaged? I had a client who was in the Recruit the Employer program, and she was really, I could tell she was so good at it because what she did was she really knew how to engage her employees to keep them engaged at work. And part of her process for doing that was clearing the way, taking the burden, because as a manager, you have a responsibility. It is a heavy responsibility, but she would take the burden of a lot of maybe the blame, or she would kind of finagle her way to make sure that they were protected and she was able to address and like make their lives easier, basically. And so they didn't get trampled on. Let me guess. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not looking for any job. You're looking for the right job. And the right job is not at your current company. You're tired of feeling underpaid, overworked, and like your career is in the hands of the employer. You're ready to make some moves, but you're overwhelmed by all of the options. You don't know how to sell yourself, and you have a nagging feeling that your lack of confidence is keeping you from success, not to mention negotiating the amount you're worth. If this sounds like you and you're a mid to senior level career woman who makes over $100,000, we have a 4-step solution just for you. Our signature program, Recruit the Employer, is designed to help women leaders get clarity on what they want to do, market to their dream jobs, and negotiate thousands more. Using a personal branded approach, we equip you with the tools to sell yourself in a non-sleazy way, think like a C-suite leader, and ultimately take back control of your career. To apply, head on over to www.jennaviviano.com/apply. Over the course of 12 weeks, you'll network with other female leaders at similar stages, learn how to double your salary, and solidify your career story. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, the dreaded resume and LinkedIn profile? Yeah, we do that for you. Because of the intimate nature of this program and limited spots, we are very selective about who we invite into the program. To see if you'd be a good fit, again, head on over to www.jennaviviano.com/apply to apply to recruit the employer today. We can't wait to support you. All right, back to the episode. So I really do believe that this is the whole idea around a servant leader. And so y'all know I love words. So I had to look up the definition for servant leader. And I found this in the Center for Servant Leadership. And they said it's the philosophy and set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organizations, and ultimately creates a more just and caring world. Can I get an amen that we want that more in the business world, right? So for you to be a successful person in your career, and we can define success in a lot of different ways. Success could look like, rising up through the ranks and getting promoted, like a lot of these women have gotten. Success could look like being a really great manager. I ask a lot of women that are in my program, what do you want somebody to say about you at your retirement party? And a lot of these women are talking about how they want to be perceived as a really great leader and manager, that they felt encouraged by that person and that they felt like their work actually mattered. So for you, I want you to think about yourself. Are you a servant leader right now? Even if you're not managing people, here are some characteristics of a great servant leader that you can start adopting before you have a team. Self-awareness, listening. Not enough of us listen. We're very busy talking. I know I'm guilty of this from time to time. We want to be heard more than we want to hear. So make sure you're spending some time listening, again, that quiet place, more so than you're speaking. Humility, not abusing authority, coaching people up. So I think this is a really big one where I have a lot of people who will ask me, Jenna, how do I find a mentor? And I said, you need to be a mentor first. A lot of people are midway through their career and they've never mentored somebody. That's a problem. If you have never mentored somebody, you need to find somebody in your office right now that's younger than you. I'm sure you can find one, and to mentor them along. Mentorship doesn't have to look like some awkward thing. We're going to do a whole different podcast episode on this, on how to be a mentor and how to be mentored. But it could just simply look like building a deeper relationship with an individual and helping them along in their career and providing advice, right? And so maybe it's like you asking somebody who's younger than you, like, hey, how can I, do you need help with this? Or like, where do you feel like you're struggling most? You're new, like, where can I be an asset to you? It's coaching people up, right? You don't have to have a team to do that. It's being collaborative. A servant leader is collaborative. They have integrity. You have to define what integrity looks for you. I think a lot of people will say, yes, I have integrity, but do you really know what that means? How you have a definition for it for yourself? Are you able to produce results? Because leaders still produce results. They're doing all of these things and they're still producing results, right? And ultimately, if you're doing all these things, it's a natural flow to results. And then finally, servant leader is somebody who resolves conflicts. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I had that woman, one of my clients who is in the Recruit the Employer program. She's a great manager. And the thing that was the crux of it was she resolved conflicts for her team. And so that they didn't have to deal with all the drama and the politics, didn't fall on their lap, it fell on her lap. So here's an action item that I want you to take to do number 2. So work and lead from a place of service. I want you to journal through this question. Where have I not been serving my team well? And this is relevant for you again, if you lead a team or not lead a team. What can I do to improve that tangibly? Don't give me some I could listen better. No, I want you to put some actions to that. Sorry, I love firm but kindness. I want you to be defined. Next time we go, for instance, you could see something like, next time I go into this big presentation and I didn't do my work, maybe I should next time do my work. Something like that. I mean, that's a little vague, but you know what I'm trying to say. I want you to be more specific. Give me a specific instance of how you can actually improve and serve your team really, really well. Next time my boss has this presentation, I'm going to go above and beyond, make sure he feels super prepared and like the king of the world as he goes into that presentation or her presentation, right? Okay. Number 3, take charge and be observant. Take charge and be observant. So this is what one of my clients said. She said, figure out what is important to your boss and actively take things off her plate. So very interested, also very similar to the last one, right? That helps them achieve their goals. Find problems to solve in the organization, implement a solution, and highlight your successes upward. Take charge and get things done well. So she has a lot of different things in here. And I think we already touched on, like, it's important to take things off their plate, right? Help them achieve their goals. Serving. But the second part of this I thought was super, super interesting. And I don't think enough of us really internalize this and really understand how this could be really helpful for us in our careers. Find problems. Find them, find the issues and solve them in our organizations, implement a solution, and then highlight your successes upward. I get a lot of questions from people of like who want to pivot and make, a big pivot in their career. And my question to them always is, okay, what have you done in your organization? Well, that's not my title. It's not my job description. I don't care. How are you solving the issue in the organization? Are you finding issues that are similar to things that you want to do in the future? And you're solving them in your job, regardless of your job description. So this is what she's saying, regardless of your job description, find problems and solve those problems, and then show people that you've solved those problems, and you're going to be given more responsibility because you're trustworthy, right? Take charge and get things done really well. Don't stay passive. I love this for people that are looking to explore a new profession, perhaps. I did this when I was at the New York Stock Exchange. I was really curious what the PR department did. I knew I didn't really love finance. So I was like, what's a PR department do? Or what does the marketing team do? Or what do these other departments do? And I would get to know the people in those organizations, and I would start to create maybe some projects for myself that I put upon myself. I was proactive and found things to do. My biggest pet peeve is when people tell me like, oh, wasn't given the opportunity to do that. I'm kind of bored at work. I'm like, find something to do. You can find something to do, right? You're not going to stay passive. And then the other part to that puzzle that she mentioned so clearly was to take note of your successes. So I'm a huge fan of writing down what you've done really well and then being able to present that in the future of like why you should work on the next project or why you should be the person for the job, because you've already proven that you can be proactive in finding issues and solving them without somebody telling you have to do them. I think a lot of us, and I know that I was guilty of this, especially early on in my career when I didn't know what to do, right? Like you just want somebody to tell you what to do and you're scared to do something that someone doesn't tell you to do. I totally get that. I need you to get over that fear. I need you just to do and stop worrying about, should I do it? Just do it. If you feel like there's a problem you can solve and you can implement a solution, go above and beyond and do the thing, and you're going to be successful in your career. I find that is 100% true for me in my past career. And I think that for anybody that's older would probably tell you the same thing, that's been in the industry for a long time. Whatever industry you're in, do the thing. And just stay curious, right? I think a lot of what she's talking about here is staying curious and staying open and being aware and not just being heads down. I know that can be really hard, but it's again that idea of silence, lifting your head up and looking around and seeing where you can serve. So here's an action item that I want you to take for number 3 of taking charge and be observant. I want you to write down your work wins each week. So part of like finding the problems also correlates to, writing down those successes when they do happen. A lot of us will get to the end of maybe our time at a company and we're looking to rewrite our resumes, or we're just, up for a promotion or whatever it looks like. We forget all of the things that we've done in our career. So I would love for you to get on the habit of doing this on a weekly basis. And then once you get used to it and you're noticing the things that you're doing really well, 1, it helps you have gratitude for your workplace, which I think is super important. But 2, it allows you to write your resume better when that time comes. And 3, it really gives you confidence over time that you're really doing work that matters. That you're really doing work that matters. So many of us, I feel like, don't feel like our work actually matters, but really we could be impacting people if we have a perspective shift and look at our work differently. So I want you to write down your work wins each week. And part of that is going to get you in the habit so that when you do take a proactive step and you do write that down, it's going to help you advance in your career over the long haul. All right, let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is learn everyone's job. This is also given by another woman in the Recruit the Employer program. Learn how to do everyone's job, not just yours, so that you can pitch in when things get busy for your colleague or boss. I found even if you don't know the full job or the complete task at hand, the effort and thought to help out is often appreciated. So I thought this was super similar to the other ones, which is funny because all of these women kind of responded to me more individually in our group program. And what I noticed about every single one that these women gave was it was very servant based. It's really about making other people lifted up, and it elevates you in the process. It seems counterintuitive, right? It feels like we have to lift ourselves up in order to be successful, but I think it's a both and equation. I think it's not being trampled on. It's been lifting ourselves up. It's providing value and then also advancing ourselves forward. So these are all pieces of information and advice from women that are 6-figure earners and very well accomplished, six-figure earners, right? So I love what she said here. It was like, so your job is to be able to pitch in when things get busy for your colleagues or boss. And what I love about this is it also allows you the opportunity to be curious and to explore other professions, especially if you don't need to know everything about the job, right? So it's not your job. It's not like kind of like if you were in high school. I know for me, when I was in high school, there was a cute boy that was in some of my classes and I would do his homework for him. That's not what we're talking about here. It's not being trampled on. It's not being taken advantage of. It's actually providing value where you can be helpful. And again, it's all about building trust and creating those building blocks to have relationships, develop those relationships, and rise up through the ranks. Again, whatever success looks like for you. But for these women, it really looked like rising up through the ranks. So for you, one action step that you can take for number 4 is shadow someone in your office who you feel like you can help in the long term. So maybe it's somebody in a different department or somebody that you work alongside and you just really want to understand fully what they do, because that's only going to benefit you. If you understand what they do, you can understand what motivates them. If you understand what motivates them, you're going to be able to understand how to serve them. If you're able to serve them, you're going to be thought of from a positive perspective, and their person's going to feel like they're heard. They're going to trust you, and they're going to ask you for more help. You're going to be the go-to person on the team. You're going to be irreplaceable. And that's really the goal, right? To be successful is to be irreplaceable to an extent. So I really want you to think about who is somebody in your office this week that you work alongside, but maybe you don't really know what they do. Maybe it's setting up some time to ask them, like, what's important to you? What's important to your team? What's valuable to you? Where do you see the bottlenecks? How can I help you better? And coming to that from a generous and like genuine spirit is really going to help you build rapport with people across your teams cross-functionally, and is going to make you be seen as the person for the next job. So I loved all of these success secrets from some of the women that are in my program. Not all of the women contributed because we have quite a few more women in the program, but I love what they had to offer. And I did find that theme so interesting. It's really about having that servant heart and serving other people. I have some thoughts around that too, just like as women. Is it something that we're just innately gifted with, that's how we operate and how we think? Is that right? Is that wrong? But I love what every single one of those women have offered because I think it's 100% true. I think it's 100% true. Now, I have added a 5th one because these are the things that I've seen for myself. And when I see other people increase in their career, usually it looks like they've invested in themselves. So number 5 for me is successful career women who are 100K plus earning career women invest in themselves. An investment can take a couple of different forms. And this may feel like more of the selfish one out of the 5 of these, but it really is not intended to be that. Really, if you look at investing in yourself, it's valuing yourself and lifting yourself up alongside other people. We know the narrative that as women, we often don't want to invest in ourselves because maybe we think that, it's other people come first. And while I understand that sentiment, I don't think it's having other people come first, it's having people come alongside you. It's not demoting yourself, it's promoting them at the same time. And so, I get a lot of, even when people are thinking about investing in the Recruit the Employer program or even just anything for their career, I'll get a lot of questions like, I should spend money on my kids or my house or everything basically but them. Or I should, they'd rather spend money on their appearance, which is fine. If that's your thing, totally fine. But let's call a spade, right? So I think that women that are successful in their careers really value investing in themselves. They value and understand that there is no price tag basically on what they can do to advance themselves in their career. And so for myself, I know that when I was in 9-to-5 jobs, I really invested a lot of time into understanding what I wanted to do next. I invested in a ton of books. I did a ton of research. And then as I got older, I really started to invest in coaching. And I know you're going to be like, oh my gosh, Jenna, of course you're talking about coaching because you're a coach. And you don't have to work with me. I would just encourage you to work with a coach. Any coach that's going to help you that you believe has the qualities and the capabilities to help you get from stuck where you are right now in your career to unstuck. I know for me, anytime that I felt really stuck in my career specifically, hiring a coach has helped to break that up. Hiring a therapist has helped me break that up, right? So it really comes down to are you being passive or proactive in your career? So a lot of people will wait to the last minute to get their resume redone. And I'm like, don't do that to yourself. You are a smart woman. Don't wait to the last minute to do that. Invest in yourself regularly in your career, because here's what you're signaling to the world when you do that. When you invest in yourself in your career, you are signaling that you deserve to be invested into by your company. You deserve to be getting that promotion. You deserve to get that pay raise. If you're not investing in yourself because you don't think, ultimately you're saying you're not worth it. And if you don't think you're worth it, why is a company going to give you that salary increase that you want to get? It's this like weird thing that I think we as women don't really understand about investing in ourselves as an investment. It's not a cost. So for instance, for me, I had a really big investment this year. I invested in a business coach and it has been hard. Not from a financial standpoint, but we have really dug through some stuff and it has been hard. It has been an amazing investment though. And I'm not looking at it as a cost because it's getting me faster along in my journey than I could have done doing it by myself. So that's why I really feel that coaching or some sort of formal education, I have some thoughts around formal education, but investing back in yourself in your education as your personal development, in your professional development is the best money that you can spend in your career. I would rather you spend that kind of money than, money on a cute outfit to go to your interview, which you should do that too. But I really, really believe that women who are investing in themselves, I've seen this in this program, women who are investing in themselves, really helping themselves understand what their value proposition is, understanding what value they can bring to the world and not putting a price tag on that and understanding that they are worth that time and worth that money, that investment in their future, and realizing it's going to get them from point A to point B, right? So I recently had a conversation with a potential client and she was perfect fit for it. She was, over a 6-figure earner. She really, really, we were going through the program. She's like, yes, it's exactly what I want. Yes, exactly what I want. This is exactly what I want. And then I told her the price and she goes, oh no, it's just not the right time. I don't know if it's the right time. After she had just told me all the things that she needed and wanted, right? And this program was it. And it's fine by me. I only want people that are in the program that are fully committed and really want to invest in themselves because it's not really worth my time, quite frankly. I don't mean that to be rude, but it's not worth my time to then invest in someone who's not going to be invested back, right? And it just makes me sad, honestly, when I have women that will come to me and they're like, yes, I definitely want that. And then they see themselves almost as a cost versus an investment. And it's like, oh, you're so close from being unstuck and you are still you're choosing to stay stuck because it's comfortable. Getting unstuck is actually very uncomfortable and investing in yourself can be very uncomfortable. But what you're doing is you're sending a message subconsciously to others that you are worth it. So I know that I invested a lot of money. I would consider a lot of money with this business coach, over $15,000. And some of you may be like, Jenny, you are insane. Best money I've spent. Best money I've spent because it's helped me get to point A to B faster. And it's how I approach investing in myself. Is it going to save me time? Is it going to save me money in the long run? Because time is money. Let's be serious. Time is a big thing for me. If I can think I can get faster by paying somebody to help me get there, I'm going to pay them. I know that it's an investment in my time and I will recoup that cost. And I'm not always looking for the cheapest option. I'm actually looking probably for the more expensive option. There's plenty of business coaches I could have hired. I hired this woman because she was a premium price because I knew that if I spent the money on it, I would do the work. So another reason why I have more of a premium pricing on my Recruit the Employer program is because I want the women to do the work. All of my women show up for my calls. All of my women do the work and all of my women are investing back in themselves. That's how they see results. So for you, whatever it is you end up investing in, again, it does not have to be with me. It could be another career coach. It could be another certification program. It could be something that's going to help you invest in your career. I just want you to invest some time and some money into your career. The money portion is so important. At some point, you're going to have to give up on the freebies. You're going to have to give up on the free content and you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. And that's something I have done for myself. There were years when I spent just researching stuff online. And it wasn't until I started spending money and a lot of money that I actually started doing the work. For me, that made a difference. The other thing that I'm looking at when I'm looking to invest in myself or invest in my personal development or professional development or business development, is it going to get it done right? Is it going to get it done faster? I am not trying to do the do-it-yourself approach because it's a waste of my time. I would rather be spending my time with Brent, with my friends, cleaning up my house, and reading a really great book than trying to figure out how this funnel system works. Let me just pay someone to do it. And the other piece is around formal education. So some people ask me questions around should I go get my MBA? Should I not get my MBA? Should I get another degree? All that kind of stuff. I like formal education. This is probably a different topic for a different day. When I'm talking about investing in yourself, I'm not requesting or insinuating that you should go back to a formal education. I actually am not a huge fan of formal education for a lot of different reasons. Again, a totally different podcast. But I want to make sure that if you are going to invest in formal education, that you understand the return on investment you're potentially going to receive. That it makes sense financially to go into that much debt. So it's funny to me, people are willing to go into a formal education debt thinking it's going to get them a job. and they don't want to do career coaching because they're like, I should have figured this out in college. I'm like, you should have. Your college didn't serve you correctly. Again, different rant. But I really want you to think thoughtfully around formal education. If you go back and get your MBA, great. If you've been like wanting to do that, you know it's going to advance in your career, do it. If you're doing it because you don't want to dig through like what you actually want to do and you're just trying to stall time, don't do your MBA. That is a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time. And if you're just looking to party, just take 2 years off. You know what I'm saying? Like just take the 2 years off. Don't go back and get your MBA because you think it's the thing to do. I would rather you spend that money on taking a certification or learning a new skill or having a hobby. Like do that, spend your money that way, invest your money that way, invest in yourself that way. And when you look at yourself as you're investing in yourself versus you're costing yourself something, it really changes how you approach and look at yourself. It changes how you perceive success. It also changes how you show up. I know for myself, when I'm spending money in growing in my personal development or professional development, I am showing up differently in my life and in my relationships personally and professionally. So I'm just wishing the same thing for you. I know for myself, I have put my money where my mouth is. I'm not a coach who does not get coached. I am a coach who gets coached. And so for you, it doesn't have to look like coaching. It can. We would love to have you in the Recruit the Employer program. If you feel like you really want to grow your personal brand, you want to understand the value that you can bring to the marketplace, and you want to find a new job and negotiate thousands more, talk to us. We'd love to help you. If you don't want to put your money where your mouth is, probably not the right thing for you, right? I just want you to find something to invest in. So that is your action item this week, is to find something you want to invest in to advance in your career in the next 24 hours. Put your money where your mouth is. Buy something. You are signaling to the world that you are worth it. And I would recommend making it hurt enough so that you show up and do the work. One of the biggest wastes of money is buying something that that doesn't hurt enough that you're not going to do the work. Do the work. Awesome. So just to recap, the 5 different success secrets are: number 1, developing real relationships. Number 2, work and leading from a place of service. Number 3 is take charge and be observant. Number 4 is learn everyone's job. And number 5 is invest in yourself. Don't think about it as a cost. Awesome, guys. This has been a really fun episode today. I hope you enjoyed all of my rants. But tell me what your biggest takeaway is. Connect with me over on LinkedIn. Give us a review here on this podcast if you've been listening for a while. If you've been binging our episodes, which I know some of you have been reaching out and saying that you have, that's amazing. Please give us a rating. It really helps more people find this podcast, and share it with your friends. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to Your Career Story podcast. I would love to get to meet you. And there are a couple of ways that we can connect in between episodes. First and foremost, I love my LinkedIn. Second is via Instagram. And third is over on my website. I actually have a special spot just for you full of fun, free resources. So all you have to do is go to www.jennaviviano.com/resources. Super simple, for a bunch of freebies that will help you boost your career. Hope to see you next week.